We haven't done anything heroic in years. What if everyone thinks we're washed up? Oh, what if we are washed up?
Ratchet and Clank are back. Well, last year they were. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. The game came out on this day last year, and I managed to get my dirty mitts on it as soon as it came out because I kinda really like Ratchet and Clank. I don't know if you can tell. I had such an incredible time playing through it. I actually went out of my way to platinum the game, which is something I don't actually do that often with games. It was easily a Game of the Year contender for me. It was a blast from start to end, and honestly, I would say it was worth the stupidly increased price of PlayStation 5 games. Seriously, Sony, what the fuck is this? Even a year later, Rift Apart is one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 5. Like, holy fucking shit, this game is actually beautiful. It runs incredibly well too, which is very surprising with how incredible it looks. Rift Apart is still the best game that showcases the PS5's SSD, with the whole jumping through dimensions gimmick. Like, check this shit out. It's bloody seamless. It also makes brilliant use of the haptic feedback of the DualShock 5 too, especially with some of the weapons, like the shotgun. I love how depending on how hard you push down R2, it can change how many shots you fire, and you really feel the impact in the controller. That's good shit. Rift Apart was the sole reason why I wanted a PlayStation 5. Well, that and Demon Souls. The game plays like every other Ratchet and Clank game, except for these ones, but we don't talk about these ones. Almost every single weapon in the game is an absolute joy to use, and the Rhino is basically a Sony cocktease weapon, referencing old PlayStation series that fans are desperate for, but Sony refused to revive. This is genuinely cruel. This is borderline abuse. Despite playing the exact same, both Ratchet and Rivet, the new female Lombax, control beautifully. They even have new moves like a dodge and a wall run. Combat encounters in Rift Apart are built around this dodge mechanic. Enemies are far more aggressive, making the dodge feel useful rather than just a gimmick. Despite all of this, I still prefer the gameplay and combat of the OG game back on the PlayStation 2. Could this just be because of nostalgia? Yeah, definitely. Not having the strafe button definitely added to the whole strategic factor of mixing and matching weaponry in that game. I'm talking about Rift Apart, not that game though. Anyway, Clank Sections are back in Rift Apart, unfortunately. In every game in the series, these have always felt like pace breakers, and they're just kinda dull.
Hurry the fuck up!
But something Rift Apart adds that no other Ratchet and Clank game has is a skip Clank Sections button. Oh my god, now this is what I call accessibility. Still baffled at the fact they thought making an entire game out of them was a good idea though. Rift Apart's story is pretty good too. Back when it was announced, I was worried that Rivet was gonna be a bit shit and be overshadowed by Ratchet, but somehow there are parts where she completely overshadows him. Jennifer Hale did an incredible job with the voice acting. I was also worried about the return of Dr. Nefarious, because they keep using this fucker.
Oh. What do you want, Nefarious?
Because he was so good in Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal.
I have a present for you, Snooky Wookums.
I told you to stop calling me that!
But he's actually pretty decent in this game. I do wish they had a new villain though, and no, Emperor Nefarious does not count. Well, I guess he kinda does, but shut up! Every character has their alternative dimension version. It's pretty cool. The story altogether isn't anything incredible, but it definitely helps push the game along, and it never feels like it drags at any point. It has some nice heartfelt moments and some pretty good reveals and twists too. Oh, and I hate to admit it, but some scenes managed to get a laugh out of me.
Welcome, oh master of us all. Password, please.
Huh? Why do I need a password? I'm the Emperor. How about I obliterate you instead? Ha 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 ha!
God damn it. Now, a huge part of Ratchet and Clank games are the soundtracks. Well, at least they used to be. Unfortunately, Rift Apart's soundtrack does not really compare to any of the OG PS2 game soundtracks. It's definitely better than the reboot soundtrack though. What the fuck is this shit? It's definitely a step in the right direction. Some of these themes do slap, but I will always miss the funky feel of those flaccid tunes back on the PlayStation 2. I will miss this shit with all my heart. Now, I'm not trying to say the music in Rift Apart is bad at all, it's just some of the music falls into the trap of that generic orchestra shit. It just feels kinda forgettable. Now, what isn't forgettable are the planets. Oh my god, the planets. Every single one of them is an absolute blast to explore. Even the open world styled ones. And I fucking hate open world games. Every single planet you explore isn't the same. Each one is visually so distinct from the other, to the point that you could easily identify any of them just from glancing at like a fucking 240p screenshot or some shit. I could go into artistic detail like the color palettes they use for each planet and what makes them distinct, but I'm fucking stupid, so I'll just say they all just please my monkey brain, really. That's it.
It was mating season. How could I have known she was your sister?
Some of the planets are returning fan favorite planets, but they're different versions from a different dimension, like Sargasso from Tools of Destruction. None from the PS2 trilogy though.
What a load of bullshit.
Choosing a favorite planet is incredibly hard to do, because there aren't really any bad or average planets. They're all so good, but if I had to choose one, I would have to go with Kodaro Station. Now, from the get-go, it doesn't seem that impressive. It's just some generic looking sci-fi station. Yeah, well, once you whack this purple crystal, it turns into a time travel mission. We're Titanfall 2ing this shit, baby. Technically it isn't time travel, it's just warping to a different dimension on the go, but it's basically the same gimmick. Once you hit the crystal, the station becomes abandoned, and you can go down a lift into the underwater section of this base, which I just want to say is cool as fuck. We're Bioshocking this shit, baby! Once you're down there, right off the bat, something feels off. It feels quite creepy. Not a feeling you'd expect to feel in a Ratchet and Clank game. Once you get further in, you are introduced to an annoying robot who you have to follow around for a bit. Despite how annoying he is though, it is quite nice to have some company in this creepy ass level. The robot then introduces you to the main threat, Juice.
Oh, God!
Who is basically a fucking horror killer stalker in this level. We're alien isolationing this shit, babe. Okay, I gotta stop with this joke. I love the build up to meeting Juice. It has that nice horror atmosphere, and I respect Insomniac for putting this in the game. Horror themes in non-horror games are awesome. Anyway, you avoid Juice and kill some enemies until you find another one of those crystals you hit earlier. Hitting it takes you back to the dimension where the station isn't abandoned, and it's still in pristine condition. You go back and forth breaking shit and doing underwater sections that are actually quite fun. Yeah, I know, fucking mad, right? You then find Juice in the other dimension, locked up. You help this Juice, and it helps you fight a boss, and it leads you to another one of those crystals to take you back to the other dimension, and Juice comes with you. Juice meets the other Juice, and they get a bit, Oh god. And that's Kedro Station summarized pretty quickly. That's only one level in the game, and I only prefer it over the others because I think underwater shit and horror is awesome. Just in general, this game is awesome. Even a year later, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is the best game that makes use of the PlayStation 5's hardware. It's a game that, for the first time in my life I am willing to admit, is best played on the console it's on. It takes full advantage of the SSD with its whole dimensional jumping gimmick. Anyway, Insomniac, with how you took the direction of Ratchet and Clank with Rift Apart, I am honestly so excited to see where you take the series next. This game felt like a love letter to Ratchet and Clank fans. A letter saying, we haven't forgotten what made Ratchet and Clank fucking awesome. Also, sorry about the reboot. We were on a lot of crack while making that shit.